So a very good evening to one and all present here. I, Dr. Priyanka Varshney, on behalf of Varshney Teachers Group, Global Learners Meet, welcome you, greet you all. You are all welcome here. So briefly talking about the group, we started this group 1 year back. And as sir said, that all of us were having this understanding, the common understanding that we need to do something to come together, to create some forum where all of us can share our knowledge and learn from each other. So here we are. It has been a journey of listening so many eminent speakers, sharing our knowledge, learning from each other, and so far we have conducted 23 sessions of this webinar. The almost the frequency has been some. We invite so we have 2 sessions per month, and sometimes we have 2 speakers in one session. Sometimes we have one speaker also. It has been very interesting journey. And today, again, we are here together to learn something new, some more from each other. And today is the 24th session of Global Learners. Speakers with us. We have Cantt, and we have Dr. Abhinav Dey from StemPeers Foundation, USA. So, ma'am and sir, we welcome you both. You are most welcome for our forum. And now, not wasting much time, I would like to invite Nishant sir to please come and introduce Shweta ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you, Priyanka ma'am, and thank you, Gagan sir, to give me opportunity to introduce today's speakers. So I would like to start with a thank you, Shweta ma'am and Abhinav, for accepting our invite to present their views on today's webinar. So I'll start with Shweta ma'am, and so Shweta ma'am is presently a teacher of social science at Army Public School, Ambala Cantt from 2013, if I'm not wrong. Shweta ma'am hails from Kurukshetra, native of Haryana, where she did almost all of her education. Then she did her master's in economics from Kurukshetra University and political science from IGNOU in 2020. Shweta ma'am is fond of popularizing yoga and meditation and has nearly 18 years of experience for conducting lectures and camps on yoga and meditation. Ma'am is a poem reciter as well as she writes poems herself. A couple of her poems are now being released by Government of Haryana as a part of interesting collection of poems for children. Besides, Shweta ma'am has also won 3rd position in letter writing competition at national level. Today, Shweta ma'am is with us to express her view on the topic, discovering one's true potential as teacher. So let's welcome Shweta ma'am for this. I hope I'm sure it's for a wonderful talk. And without further ado, we welcome Shweta ma'am to give her thoughts on this topic. Yeah, here we go, Shweta ma'am.
Thank you so much for a lovely introduction. I'm really humbled with such an introduction amongst you all learners, and I really be thankful for whatever the opportunity you have given to me. I hope I could add some more value with this time that you all are giving to me, and I could convey some of my good thoughts to you all. So my topic is quite relative to all of you. I think most of you will be able to understand. So shall I start my sharing screen, Abhinav?
Yes.
Is this visible?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, this is visible, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you so much.
You can make it full screen, ma'am.
Yeah, I already did it. Is it visible now as a full screen?
Yeah, it is visible.
Thank you. So the very topic says discovering one's true self as a teacher. So it will take up with me 2 parts of it. So first we'll talk about who the teacher is. So we very well know this. सब धरती कागज करूं, लेखनी सब बन राय, सात समुद्र की मसी करूं, गुरुगुण लिखा न जाए. This is the biggest responsibility as a teacher that's been given to us, which means if the whole earth is paper, all forests being pen, And water of the seven seas is the ink. Even then, one cannot express the glory of a guru, a role of a guru or a teacher. So let us come to it. The point comes how the effective teacher is. Then only we could take out the real potential out of it. So let's guess out some few words which could give a good idea, which we all can relate. If we think for a second in our mind, we could come up to some very beautiful words related to the teachers. This could be caring, humble, creative, successful, lifelong learner itself, competent, respected, humorous, passionate, and experts to their subjects. It could be intelligent, dedication, enthusiastic, ability to connect, or a life coach. There are a number of things that are attached as a color to her personality. It could be one few things we can talk more about is she should be the catalyst for a change, not teaching it necessary, bringing about the change, what is desirous from that knowledge, from that wisdom, that is very important. Then perfect role model. A lot of roles given to her have to be idolized at all cost. And of course, must nurture inspiration, should be effective delegator, must know which child can take up which role in the class, which could be polished, which could be refined. Subtle facilitator, creates a joyful and conductive atmosphere wherever she stays, wherever she conducts her knowledge. Let's come to the domains or the framework for effective teaching. First, we all very well know these are basics, professional knowledge. But what I would love to add on is add human touch in it. Professionalism should not be just taken, it's a very dry word. So it should add the human touch in it. Of course, instructional planning is a must. Then instructional delivery, assessment, learning environment, professionalism, all these things are very, very important. But I must say, empathy to the process. Whatever is the condition of the learner, whatever is the area where that child needs to be taken care of, or the other person who is gaining knowledge from you, that should be taken care of. That should be in your consideration. It should add a flair of motivation in your instructional delivery. And nevertheless, never forget the effectiveness of the outcome. Whatever you are targeting at, wherever you want the desirous result to be, where should be the impact? What should be the impact? That should not be lost at any cost. We have, of course, psychological principles of teaching, principle of change and rest. We should keep on changing in between. Whatever we are going through, we should always give a glimpse of this and that and spice to your knowledge that's being given. It should not be monotonous in all the ways. Providing principle of training to senses. It's been done a very long back if we start from the kindergarten and all. Principle of feedback and reinforcement. Principle of group dynamics. Principle of creativity and self-expression. These are the learning outcomes as well. These are the desirous things which should be part of the very day when we plan for it. Principle of encouraging self-learning. This is not, we usually take up the thing that rote memorization, spoon feeding, even at the level of highest knowledge that's been acquired. Analytical powers are not that high with such high degrees with people, because self-learning, self-expression, creativity, reinforcement of the thing, practical implementation is not given a seat. So that creates a problem. So we must definitely go into it and take out some or other way out for your own touch, your Midas touch. Roles of a teacher, of course, a facilitator, of course, a detective, how the things are going around in our environment with the children, with the students, with the whatever the conditions are prevailing, peacemaker, planner, mentor, librarian, motivator, technologist, n number of expectations from these professionals, so have to be taken up. Communication skills, that's the key, the layout from where everything starts. If the communication is not perfect, it is not good enough. So definitely the process is halted. अगर आपका communication इस level का नहीं है, जिस level के आपके learners हैं, that's very important. Wherever is your learner, whatever the status that child is, wherever you are taking up, that is very important. Wherever you want to impart, the level of the learner has to be kept in mind, and you have to communicate to that level. You should be into that conditioning, that how that matter gets into the absorption and assimilation of information. And of course, if there were no teachers, all other professions would not exist. Guide, friend, planner, disciplinarian, classroom manager, inspirer, communicator, counselor, co-participant, evaluator, coordinator, creator, facilitator, philosopher, father or motherly figures, educator. A lot of responsibilities that's been expected and must be kept in mind, that whatever is being done must be done incorporating all these rules. And of course, that's my personal opinion. Teachers should be updated themselves in child psychology, as it will provide teaching with flow and spillover with the produce of beautiful humans. Child psychology, what I feel is, even at the level of B.Ed, even after that also, it is ignored. That's the key from where it should start. If it is lagging into it, so definitely the product is not up to the mark. So the first thing on which I believe after academics one should land up should be the understanding of child psychology. Then of course, here my thing starts. Think and plan your comprehensive goals for yourself. Now let us come to the true potential what we want to take out. For this, we usually tell we should plan, we should think about, we should create a thing what we need to do. But have we ever thought about it? It all begins in your mind. What you think, you create. And many of us must be belonging to the science backgrounds, which is definitely giving you the basics from even high secondary, that's a quantum physics. Energy that's being created through vibrations, and then of course it cannot change its form, it's never destroyed, and then the matter is created accordingly. This is the basic version I'm telling for a layman to understand that whatever we think, whatever the vibrations we have in our mind, they will convert your reality. So it's being a very, very deep question, but taken very lightly, where I want you to ponder, where I want you to stress out. Once you start, once you begin, the thought should be there where you want to reach, and must be inculcated in your addressing group also. Wherever you are just giving your knowledge, that part also should be given to the audience, to the one who is there to learn from you. That's very, very important. Let's check out checklist for black emotions being transmuted to students and yourself. See, once anybody is in a state of like stress, the brain is directly affected. The psychosomatic impressions that we reach are usually ignored, totally left out, but must be given heed. And it's very, very important to understand the impact on yourself as a teacher, and on children, and on your students. See, if we generally look at frustration, it will give, a lot of pain, migraine in your brain. Tension could be your lower back. Mistrust could lead to thyroid. Stress and fright could lead to heart issues. Grief and fear affects your lung. It's just a surface problem that we could see nowadays in COVID also. But if we go in deep, everybody is deep-rootedly struck by grief or fear. That's why the lungs are being affected the most. Reasons could be, as your last session was also there, where could be seen biomicroorganisms, they all affect you. They're already a lot of, see, few years back we could hear this thing also, TB being incurable, and now it this with bacterium, virus, and various other diseases have started living amiably in your body. How is it possible? Because your body has started adapting accordingly. But if we are not able to accept any of kind of a disease, or we are not able to fight back, that means there is a psychosomatic impression to that in your body, which is creating that havoc. And this havoc now is very much visible throughout the world. That's what my point is. So please be very, very cautious about these black emotions being transmitted to yourself and your learned audience. Then, of course, anxiety is your gut and intestines, rage is your jealousy. What I suggest, we can definitely take a screenshot of it, some of you, if they don't know about it. So this will help if we cautiously keep in mind that these should be kept in mind, that these are the emotions which should be not accepted at all for yourself and then being transmuted to others. We have some more of these. Stress weakens your heart and brain, worries your stomach, grief, of course, your lungs, anger, your liver, and of course, love brings in peace and harmony. It appears as if a very bookish language, love brings in peace and harmony. But once adapted, it's difficult, but once adapted, brings the wonders and the changes required. Of course, laughter is one of them that cures. So see, what we need is only 5 pairs of facial muscles to smile. So smiling cures. Holding a smile for 30 seconds, even if you're not happy, tricks the brain out of the depression and boosts the immune system to cure the body disease. It's very important. A deliberate effort would also bring a change. Although you may not be at that level, you may not be on the same status, but if you take your footstep ahead, your body will respond back. So let us come to the point. Increasing vibrational frequencies. These are the genius frequencies we can reach. It's been proven scientifically as well. Of course, the touch of nature, dance, breathing deeply, being around animals, exercise, yoga, helping others. We feel as if that we help others. So something, as we have in Hindu mythology to state, the other thing go around and everything comes back to you as a karma. Even your own body's molecular intracellular memory that remembers, that brings about the required change, and that of course initiates all kinds of benefits. Surround yourself with beautiful things. Eat healthy foods, meditate, of course, laughter, listening to music. It's a pleasing effect, whatever you want to. So we have emotional spiral. Here we could just check down. Please take a screenshot for this. It will help you always to check down. Where are you? Are you accepting the environment? Are you just standing in front of a change? Are you worthy? Are you feeling free? Are you knowledgeable, or you are blaming yourself? The guilt, all those which will pull you down, and the things which will take you up. This is very, very important. A checklist to be taken daily at the end of the day. What I am gathering and what I am doing. Okay, let's come to happiness hormones. Of course, we all are now very well knowing about all these concepts. Happiness hormones, these are just going to bring down all these things which we really actually want for a body to work on. It feels as if it is only the things that are going around which affect us, but it's more than that. Let's check down what does these happiness hormones do and how we can achieve a better level of these, and what can be done for that. So first one is, of course, a very well-known, heard also chemical, that is dopamine. And of course, genuine gratitude that brings in a natural increase of dopamine levels by focusing on positive aspects in your life. We always hear this thing, and now it's being scientifically proven also. Like for 21 days before you sleep, you can rewire your brain to function if you remember only 3 things which for you feel gratitude that you have and you are happy about it. And every day being mindfulness, regular exercise, of course, healthy eating. I'll come to this also. So then, of course, very, very important one, a 20-second hug releases oxytocin and can increase your trust in the person you're hugging. This is very important, and I must instruct all the parents. So definitely go for it for their children, for their betterment, of course. Then we have serotonin, again a happy hormone. Of course, this is the food that directly injects in your body with these. And if we, that's the point, that what we eat, what we become. So please be a cautious eater. What you eat definitely will bring down changes. These are all chemicals in your body which actually regulate your mood. Whatever kind of a chemical is being released by your body, whatever the hormones it is releasing, that is the point where you will be. That is the area where you will feel. So then we have endorphins. Of course, exercise, laughter, meditation, of course, the lavender fragrance, then spicy food, and of course, music. Now, I must give you a keynote that's very important. Appears to be very small, but it's really wonderful, and it works like anything on anyone. We have energy points in our body. They're very, very important and crucial. If we just look at these, they appear as if nothing. But if we go with these, whenever I some of the times practically also take my sessions, so I just tell my audience, even online also, to do it. Although I'm having a very short span of this webinar for my delivery, but still I recommend highly for you all to take the screenshot. Even in the process of my webinar, many of the interactive sessions, they just immediately tell me back that there was a headache, it's gone after a few seconds only. These are the energy points, energy meridian points actually, which your body carries and it affects. If you just take this point, if you could see my cursor, it's the point here in the wrist. It's not shown here. If you take up a point here, and you press, if you remember, even in our Indian cultures also, the men used to wear a lot of jewelry here. It was just because the points of your energy meridian would be constantly pressed. Even today in India, women are wearing bangles. So basically, these are like very, very deeply integrated cultural instincts of our Indian ethnicity, but they have immense effect on your body functions as well. So I hope if any one of you just give a try for a few days, you'll find difference definitely. These are the energy meridian tapping points, which must be done daily, and you can do it anywhere, wherever you are sitting. Definitely, if you feel better, if you are better, so definitely your true potential comes out, your efficiency increases, you come out as a better person. Another process, this is Trata, that's the yogic purification process that has to be used by us all from the very age we begin, but we usually do not. So I would like to bring in glimpse for this. Trata kya hai? We have to concentrate at a point, any of your point, as a deliberate process. And if you ask for today's generation to sit and concentrate on a point, it becomes difficult for them. And the more restless they are, they will not be able to do it in the beginning. And slowly we can increase our time. Like this, we can have a screen, gaze without blinking. That means you will not wink your eyes, and you just continuously point out at a central point of the screen at this moment. So this will definitely help to focus, to increase your right and left brain functioning, your creativity. And whatever is being lagging, if we talk about the pineal gland functions, the calcification of pineal gland, which actually was not known to most of the researchers all over the world, which is now being acknowledged. Previously, it wasn't even aware of. Your brain is carrying a pea-sized gland, that is your pineal gland, which usually get calcified with the use of screen, with use of fluoride and all these things. We must avoid fluoride pastes and all. So all these things can be recovered back, and we can increase the capacity of our brain to increase up to the level we want. It takes you to the genius frequencies. It has been noticed, researched, and proved that when we take up these activities, these kriyas, we come into the genius frequency. So this is very important, and I highly recommend it. It's easy, and if you go with your home apparatus, अगर आप घर पर करना चाहते हैं, it's very easy. Up to your eye level contact, sitting beside a wall, just opposite to a wall, you can stick a bindi, any bindi on the wall, and you just continuously gaze it. It starts disappearing. We can just increase the time also. With the passage of time, we can increase our sitting capacity also. Again, scientists have shown our DNA can be reprogrammed by words, feelings, and intentions. We are the programmers. Of course, I have a video to prove you that. Although everything is being given in our cultures and scriptures, but somehow we rely on some other things which fall to us through these scientific connotations which are coming from the West or here and there. So I have something for you that also. So I hope I could convey my message that whatever is being spoken is to be kept cautiously on your tongue. Whatever you're being conveying to anyone, to yourself even, a feeling of guilt can kill you. So it's very important what you speak and what you feel. And of course, the universe never punishes you. It's just responding to the vibrational attitude that you're emitting. That's very important. As you feel as a like energy attract, and you are with your people like that. So one more thing, that's a food tip. One meal uncooked food to be added in your daily routine. If you really want to come up as more, you know, effective and efficient person and recovering your own true potentials. And one more thing, very, very important, I always recommend, please replace the regular cup of tea with some other kind of a tea, because whenever we take that, whatever implications we know, one more implication is there with your regular cup of tea, and that is it directly gives a message to your liver to just release the emergency glucose that's stored in your body. So it gives you away a shock, and your body feels as if something bad has happened. And every time you take a cup of tea, your regular cup of tea, it gives you a relaxation feeling, but it is not. It is actually hitting your body. So replace it with something like apple tea. That's nothing but just boiling apple and adding cinnamon or sugar, something like that. Or you can definitely take a rosebud tea. That's very important, very, very good in vitamin C and antioxidants. Then you can have colorful curd, layers of color with a lot of dry fruit. That could be a complete meal. A lot of water to be added. Refreshments to your body actually is very important. Now we have seen water is having memory. Some practical tips. This is coming back to your classroom areas. For like, it's okay. That's the tagline. It's okay. All is well is the thing which I feel you should tell yourself and to your students every time. Whenever they feel they are not good enough, whenever the things they are doing they feel they cannot do, then is here and now, that to be in present. That's the concise of Gita for both the statements. Here and now, all is well. हर चीज को witness करिए and then you move on. It's easy to say, but these practical activities and kriyas and other things and your mental setup, when we take up with these things, definitely gives you the power to change. Of course, we can add on acronyms to your informations, and if we come up to the secondary, higher secondary levels, we can add up to them with the buddy system. And of course, updating and adding interesting information which is not the part of the curriculum to be given to them, so that they add on and get interested, which is not a regular information in the books, to be given to them for sure. I have a video for that also, but I think I'll shoot up with the time, so I am briefing these few things more. World Teachers Day, that's if we talk about the world scenario, it is September 7. On an average teacher, a normal teacher can affect more than 3,000 students during the career. And 18% of the teachers only get 8 hours of sleep per night. That's being seen. And the profession of a teacher is the one most admired profession in the world, of course. And the colonial times, it was just led by men. And later, it was open for women in 1820s to 1830s. And let's have some visuals during the COVID. It's a ray of hope. And whatever you could see in these times was not their, compulsion. It was their zeal to do it. So your passion, your thought, your creation, and your efficiency marks your thinking. आप जैसा सोचेंगे, the result will be like that. The teachers from Maharashtra and this one from a chemistry teacher, nothing was as compulsory for them to be like this, but they did it with their passion, so was the wonderful result. This is what I can say. Let's give our best and ensure efficient and nation building teachers, all to be incorporated. It appears as if we are doing only teaching or imparting knowledge, but it's much more than that. And my deep gratitude and thanks to all the teachers sitting here, as well as those who have been in my life to guide me. And of course, never stop learning. That's my message, to always hold on. And I hope most of the teachers definitely dwell on it. That's all from my side. Uh, shall I stop sharing the screen?
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot, Shweta, ma'am.
I hope something could have been valuable to these renowned and esteemed teachers sitting here. I'm so young
Definitely,
to you
ma'am.
all.
Definitely. It was a very interesting talk, and we got to know so many new things. I would say it was very interesting because the way you unfolded the discussion, you talked about not only the positivity in terms of passing on to the students, you also guided us on working on ourselves, how to work on ourselves, and how deep principles of positive emotions are there, which are deep rooted within us. So I feel that has been very interesting, and that gives us a food for thought and reflection of as to how to take care of ourselves at the same time pass on that to our learners also. So very quickly, ma'am, from your talk, I would just like to give a gist to all the participants. What have been the important points, and then we move to the next speaker. So,
Thank
ma'am, some key takeaways. Please correct me if I am wrong. From your talk have been, we have come to know about the mantra of teaching, loving, and inspiration, and we have understood the importance of human touch and empathy, which is very quintessential along with the professionalism. We have also come to know about the psychological principles, which are very, very crucial to be taken care of as a teacher. And we have also realized that we need to have good essential communication skills, which are very important to be a teacher. And we have to think and plan for the comprehensive goal for ourselves so that we can plan better for our classes. And one important thing that you highlighted in the lecture was about the black emotions and the danger of unconsciously passing those emotions to our learners. And that is how we really need to work on increasing the vibrational frequencies, emotional spiral. And we also got to know about the happiness hormones. Along with that, we could see that there is an importance of tapping the energy points in our body, and we could see that there is very crucial concept of strata. Along with that, I would say the last but not the least, the very important message that you have given to all of us is about realizing each and every time, and passing on that to our learners that all is well. So that positivity is very important, and that has been really good. Thank you, ma'am. Thanks a lot for the wonderful lecture.
Thank you so much.
Yep. Thank you, Shweta ma'am. It was a really nice webinar. It's very. I was very amazed to see the effect of emotions and the feelings on the water. It was really very nice to see. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank
Thank you
you.
for the really nice talk.
Thank you, the
And
August gathering here, for
yeah,
listening with patience.
we will keep question answers in the last after the second talk. And let me join everyone to thank Shweta ma'am for this nice talk. And uh, now I'll introduce the second speaker, Dr. Abhinav. So as Abhinav said, we go along from a long time. I know Abhinav from our MSc times where we did together our masters from Goa University in 2005. And I always know Abhinav as a brilliant and passionate scholar, and always has a clear in mind about his future goals. Abhinav hails from Jabalpur, Madhya Pradesh. He did his masters from Goa University, as I said, and his doctorate from Molecular Biophysics Unit in ISC in 2011. After his PhD, he worked as a postdoc in Mehari Medical College, Vanderbilt University at Nashville, and Emory University, Atlanta. At Emory University, he was the recipient of two Young Investigator Awards and multiple grants from various foundations. And if I am not wrong, he also owns three patents on his name. He is very passionate about his work. His passion of work on cutting edge of basic and translation research has led to the initiation of phase one clinical trials for pediatric cancer patient at Emory University. He is not only a passionate scholar, he is also a passionate mentor. He is one of the founders of social media platform called StemPeers, which has a presence in many countries. StemPeers is a group of people indulging in career-focused networking, communication, and mentoring thousands in the field of STEM. As you know, STEM, science, technology, engineering, and medicine. StemPeers also helps STEM professionals to achieve visibility for their own scientific endeavors through blogging in social media. Many media reports, articles, and podcasts has covered Dr. Abhinav's journey and his efforts. Currently, he is a director of oncology and fibrosis research at Microcures in New York, where he is directing the R&D program for oncology and immuno-oncology. Today, he is with us to give a talk on the title "From Curiosity to Cure: How Science from a Lab Reaches to you," where he will be showing us the journey of a cure or a drug molecule, right from conceptualization to our treatment regime. And also, he will guide us through the plethora of career opportunities available in this field. So now let's welcome Dr. Abhinav for his talk, and I'm sure he'll be very informative to our audience. Abhinav, so the floor is to you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Nishant. This is a very kind and generous introduction, and I really appreciate this invitation from you and Dr. Gupta to come to this august audience of teachers. Teachers profession, as Shweta also mentioned, that uh, uh, is one of the most noble professions, and everything that I am in my career is also because of my teachers and the mentors who came along the way and shaped my career and my destiny. And I'm sure this is the same truth for all of you. You all had influential teachers, and you continue to be the harbingers of change for so many noble souls who are growing and identifying their expertise and identifying their career paths. So yeah, so today's talk, as Nishant mentioned, focuses on the journey of how a medicine reaches you from research, but it's a talk with a difference. I am not going to focus on the how of it, because it has been talked several times, how the research is done, medicine is molecule is characterized, and then it is produced and manufactured and approved, and then it reaches you. I will talk about the people who create the medicine. I will talk about the people who get trained in this whole process of creating the medicine and bringing it to you. So this is not a talk about the scientific aspects of medicine. I am, of course, a scientist by profession, and you can see that I'll talk about it in more detail. But definitely just wanted to put it out there, and that I'll be talking about the careers that are related to medicine. So let me share the screen. Please bear with me with this system. Can you see my screen?
Not yet. Yeah, it's opening now. Can you make it to full screen?
Yes, I'm just making it.
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. So first of all, thank you, Shweta, for that nice talk that you gave. Before I start off, I would like to mention the many important points about medicine and health and well-being are important to be that you have covered there. And my talk is totally different from yours, but definitely a lot of good points that you have mentioned really matter when we develop medicine. And mental health is one of them, and maintaining a good mental health for anybody in a medicine career is important. So starting off, I'm representing StemPeers today because that's a foundation with whose knowledge I have been able to assemble this talk today. So the purpose, as I said, is to bring awareness about professional who create life-saving medicines and what their career paths look like. About myself, as Nishant has already mentioned, I'm a scientist by profession, and I was trained in biological sciences from Goa University and Indian Institute of Science, Bangalore. After that, I moved to US for my advanced biomedical training, where I worked as a postdoc at Vanderbilt and Emory University. And while I was in US, I co-created a US-based nonprofit organization called StemPeers, where we bring about career awareness for STEM professionals, especially those who are in higher education in STEM. And we also try to mentor them for multiple careers that is beyond research and beyond traditional academic paths of STEM careers. And we have multiple skill development programs as well. So this organization completes 6 years this week, and it is Nishant and Abhishek, one of your previous speakers, have been a part of our organization and have been supporting us for a long time. And now the talk sequence today will comprise of first I'll talk about medicine, the impression that is generally created. Just a disclaimer, I will not be talking about any alternative medicines. It is totally the traditional Western medicine that goes through the typical research followed by clinical trial approvals and marketing. So I'll be talking only about those careers. After that, I'll talk about the drug life cycle. What is the research phase? What is the development phase? And what are the commercialization phases? And followed by the job opportunities that are in the entire drug life cycle, followed by the job opportunities in the support and management functions, and then how the career moves takes place as you grow in the pharma sector, and then the training opportunities where your students can get trained, and what are the essential qualifications and some important employability elements, and I'll briefly touch upon an effective job application. Finally, I have some acknowledgements to talk about. So it, why this talk was created, before I go further, was because you, most of the audience today are teachers, and when you have young students growing up, they all career is a lifelong learning process. As Shweta has also mentioned, as a teacher, you are a lifelong learner, and at several points in my career, I realized that my teachers were also lifelong learners, but there were some inherent biases that were there when I was a student, and the way they taught us about careers is very different. And careers are an evolving thing, with as it progresses. So that it has to be a constant learning experience for the teachers also when you are talking to students and telling them about career opportunities. So going further, I would like to, I'm sorry, my screen froze.
Shall I try, or is there some problem? Can you improve it?
I'm trying my.
Okay. In the meantime, let me also take it.
Yeah, I think there is some problem here. Okay, my computer actually froze. I'm sorry, I have to log out for a little bit. Please bear with me.
Okay. No
yeah.
Priyanka ji.
Yes.
It may take 2-3 minutes. If there are some quick questions to Shweta ji that can be taken up.
Okay.
Can we take Nishant ji now?
Yeah, Gagan sir. Should I take questions?
Yes, please.
Okay.
1 or 2 questions for Shweta ji.
Yeah.
Shweta ji, are you there?
Yes, of course. Yes.
Yeah, ma'am. There are a couple of questions. Let me go through them. So there is a question from Gagan sir only. How do you see accepting not knowing?
See, it's not knowing, it's actually really knowing it deeply. Once you acknowledge, then only you can get into how to come up to it. If we keep on ignoring it, we are not into it. So I say it in knowing it more. That's more important, what I say. You have to actually come deeply to the point, what it is, and then come up with a solution. If you don't know it, you keep on ignoring, you never come up with a solution, what I feel.
Thank you, ma'am. There's another question from Sanjeev sir. Each class has some tough nuts to crack, a constant challenge for teachers to maintain decorum of the classroom, as well as correct those creating bad music. How do you take such situation as a teacher?
See, what I personally suggest is the mentors of the organization should keep this thing in mind, that children should not be quickly changed with the teachers. See, if I take up a class for like 3 years, you give me ninth, you give me 10th, you give me +1. So what happens? You have a coordination, you know very well about that child, and that child also knows you. With a glimpse of your eye, you can very well coordinate. You can convey your point. You get time to bring about change. A single session is not sufficient. And of course, for that, I must give you my own live example. One class once was given for me like 3 years continuously. So that was the class from where few students actually broke the almirah for the anecdotal. That means where the records and pen downs of those children were there. And by the end of class, board exams, I would like to add, out of 46 students of social science result, if I talk about, 23 of them were above 95. And almost the whole school was having 7 students 100 on 100 with the social science. Out of 2 of them were my class, and 6 of them in my class, more than this, were all in 99. That means they could also have been part of it. So once you have time, see, agar koi bacha fearful hai, he will never peep into your eyes, he will push someone else to stand and speak for them. So it is like that. So you have time, you track that child, you get it. And if you don't have enough of time, and if you, of course, your passion is not there to bring about the change, nothing can be done. But if you have time, and if you do all the required necessity things, everything changes. Of course changes. It takes time, but it does.
Yeah, thank you, ma'am. There is a question from Anupam sir. Is it okay if people remains indifferent to the wrongdoings around them in the society, since anger would take a toll on their health?
No, it is not always recommended. There is always a thin line. What is wrong and what is right? See, this is what we always tell. There is a word as prudence, logic, what's correct and what is not. That is not generally identified by people very easily. That is why we say common sense is not that common. Once we are into that fact, what is right and what is wrong, and then we can discriminate where is your line to do it and where you can leave it. Where is your area and your sphere of intervention and where you don't have. What I feel.
Yeah, thank you, ma'am. There is a comment on your suggestion of hugging your child.
Yeah. Yes.
So there is comment from नीरू मैम. मैम ने कहा बिल्कुल सही कहा आपने, एक प्यार की झप्पी जादू का असर करती है.
It works because actually scientifically, क्योंकि आज क्या लॉजिक का डे है, they don't work out with बहुत सारे चीजें थी जो हमारे ethics में थी, जैसे कि आप घर में रात को झाड़ू ना लगाइए. They had their logic. At that time they were not having electricity. You don't cut your nails or clip your nails. At that time you could kill yourself. आप पूरा कुछ भी गड़बड़ कर सकते थे, अंधेरा था. तो many of the things may not be relevant now, but everything is packed with knowledge. It's not irrelevant. Some of the things have turned about. They have changed because of modulation of human behavior. But what I feel is this has been long back instructed in our scriptures, that yes, interaction and of course hugging is part of that only. Very, very important, very, very crucial. And parenting, the most important tip. एक जो newborn infant है, he knows his mother even before opening his eyes. So it's very important, very, very important what I suggest.
Yes, ma'am, definitely. There is a question from Gagan sir.
Nishant ji, now Abhinav ji has joined, so let us.
Okay,
Get what.
we'll take a questions in the end. Okay, so Abhinav, are you ready? Let's try.
Yes, let's try. I'm really sorry, guys. I don't
No
know why,
problem.
what happened to my computer.
No
So I'll
problem.
try again. Hopefully it doesn't happen again.
Yep.
I am here to give you backup if needed.
Yes, it's fine. The problem was with my computer, so it's not connection. It's something related to the computer. Can you see my screen?
Yes,
Yes,
yes.
let's make it big. Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks, Abhinav.
Okay. Okay. So I think this was the last slide I was on. Am I right? Can
Yes,
somebody
yes,
confirm?
you just started the
This
next
were
slide. Yeah, just started the
Okay.
next slide. Just
Okay.
moving.
Okay. I hope yes, that's great. So I'd like to begin my talk with a little bit of Q&A. So imagine when you were in your high school or were graduating, what was the word medicine associate you with what kind of people in the careers? I will
Doctors.
give you some, yes, I'll give
Doctor.
you some, yes, I'll give you some visuals. I think most of you associate these people with medicine, right?
true.
Some of you might also associate a pharmacist with medicine.
Yes.
Okay. Very few would be associating, not very few, but lesser than most of the majority will be associating a scientist with a medicine,
True.
right? And
Very true.
then what about somebody who is manufacturing a medicine? Very rarely do, as a young student, do you think of somebody manufacturing a medicine being a part of the word medicine. It never comes to your imagination so quickly as somebody who is a doctor or a nurse or a medical professional per se. Now, if I show you this visual, does this associate any one of you with a career in medicine? Rarely, right?
Very rarely. Very rarely.
Yes. And what about these guys? You must be thinking these are corporate people, right? They're in the
Bit.
corporate business, but they are also an important part of medicine. So let's get on with it. What is happening here? Uh, Now we have heard of life cycles, right? Like a butterfly's life cycle, it goes from eggs to larva to pupa to a butterfly, and then it dies. So similarly, everything has a life cycle, and drugs or medicine in per se also have a life cycle. And the field of drug discovery, its development and its commercialization offers a wealth of job and career opportunities for young, talented graduates coming out of college. And they may be having a background in life sciences or may not. That's perfectly fine. But there are several points in the drug life cycle where they can be a part of the pharma sector. Um, so I would say the image over here has been taken from the reference mentioned at the end of at the corner of the slide, but that's the typical drug life cycle. There is a research phase, there is a development phase, and there is a commercialization phase. And at the end of the commercialization, of course, there is a time when the drug goes off the market because, of course, there are new drugs that appear or the generics that appear. But we won't be talking much about that. We will be focusing more on the first three phases, which are bustling with a lot of career opportunities. So going further, let's talk about the first research phase. You must be wondering, why do I have Nishant over here? Well, because the research phase is a very intensive research career, and a lot of team members who are part of this research phase are biologists, who are medicinal chemists, who are pharmacologists, and patent agents, people who understand law and not science, but they understand how to protect a drug molecule from infringement, because whenever you uh, creating a drug in itself is a very expensive process, and you do not want your molecule that you have discovered to be infringed upon, to be taken away from you and commercially utilized by someone else. So it is important to protect the rights, your rights to that drug, so that you can commercialize it at a later stage. So as you can see, the discovery phase not only involves a lot of research, it involves a lot of legal things to protect the drug. And where does this happen? The locations are generally pharmaceutical companies, academic research centers, small startups, spin-offs that are happening, and of course law firms, as they are involved in this drug development process. And the ultimate goal over here is to deliver a few patented drug candidates that are ready for development. Now, I would like Nishant to come and talk a little bit about his career in basic research.
Oh, thanks, Abhinav. Yeah, it was a long time actually. So yeah, so basic research means like, okay, so you need actually you want to get answers for some questions, right? So later comes like the legal part; those things comes later on. But initially, you want to know how things work and how things are progressing in our in our human body even also. How things say, for example, for proteins, how protein works inside a body, how the drug molecules affects our proteins, or what's the drug molecules affecting the process in our body. So you want some things, some experiments or some techniques to tell you how the things works actually. So yeah, so that was like basic research. It will give you some answers, and there are many techniques you can use it to get the answer. To tell you about my role when I was doing research, about part of the research. So it was to tell how the protein molecules or the protein molecule gets affected by a different say different drug molecules or different say to go to a scientific term is like a ligand or something. So like how drug works on your body. So it's like how they works on a specific proteins. So that is like the part of my career in Italy. I was there. To so say there are so everything is like a function of a protein. It comes by from its sequence, and then sequence is the protein folds itself into a three-dimensional structure. Gives a three-dimensional structure. So how to get the effect of those molecules on your body or a protein to solve to solve its structure. So my role was to help people to solving their the protein structures. That is a part of, and we had Sanjeev sir knows Sanjeev sir is part of that organization DST. So we had a facility in Italy, which is funded by our Department of Science and Technology, DST, and helping many Indian scientists to in their research. So that was my actually. I think I hope I gave some answer.
Yes,
Very
yes,
good.
absolutely. And yeah, thank you for sharing that perspective. So as you saw, Nishant explained to you that how one of the roles that he played in the drug discovery research is to solve the structures, find how the molecules interact with a particular protein and inhibits its function. Most of the time, these molecules are the ones that inhibit infection in the infection process by targeting a particular protein or any other molecule from a pathogen. So yeah, so this is just an example, and there are like Nishant, there are thousands of researchers across the world who are generating these leads while working in the lab in a pharmaceutical or an academic lab, and creating these, identifying these molecules that can really result in a potential cure. Now, to let you know, more than 99% of the molecules that emerge as a part of research never reach the end of the spectrum of commercialization, because there is a long process of development that is followed. So in my next slide, I will talk about the development process. So most in the development process, the team members are mostly life scientists, clinicians, that is the doctors, the people who treat you at hospital. They are also part of, apart from their regular job of treating patients, they are also part of several clinical trials where in the process of development of a drug, they are identifying which patients are terminally ill, they don't have any other options, and they have exhausted all the uh, clinically approved options, and they be put on a clinical trial. But if they put them on a clinical trial, is that new experimental drug going to be safe or not? So apart from the clinicians, there are chemical engineers who actually create that formulation, especially whenever you get a drug approved and in the market, it is not always that same molecule. It is actually mixed with a lot of other molecules so that you can either ingest it or it can be
Pani
injected.
Arabe.
Mm, I'm sorry, is there a question?
No, sir,
Nishant,
there
is
is
it?
no question. Please move
Oh,
ahead,
No, no,
sir.
no, 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 enough. I think somebody.
okay.
Carry on.
Sorry. Yeah. And the regulatory affairs experts. So they are the chemical engineers, as I said, are important for creating that formulation that can go inside your body. And it is never ever a pure molecule that goes in. It is a mix of molecules that ensures a lot of things, that ensures the stability. Once you are ingesting it, it should be uh, ingestible, and then it should go into your bloodstream to act at the particular target inside the body. So this is just one kind of an example I'm sharing, and then there are injectables, and then of course inhalables. There are many different kinds of formulations of drug that you take on a day-to-day basis, and chemical engineers are the ones who really make it in that form. It is not the life scientists, it is not the clinicians, it's the chemical engineers who do it. Similarly, there are regulatory affairs experts. The regulatory affairs experts really come into the picture when they need to make sure that all the rules are followed. Every country where a drug is approved has a different set of rules for its population. And the regulatory affairs experts go through the data presented by the life scientists and the clinicians about the safety of the drug and ensure that all the rules are met, and then they approve the drug. So there are a different set of professionals, and their role is very much important in getting the drug through the development phase. Now, when I say the development phase, what are the components of a development phase of the drug? There is a non-clinical phase, which I have shown here, and where the clinical and pharmaceutical development takes place. And then there is non-clinical efficacy phase. So where before any drug or any formulation of a drug is tested in humans, it is tested on non-human animals, and they include mice, they include rats, they include pigs, they include primates, non-human primates like monkeys, and a lot of veterinarians come into the picture, and then they are tested on these animals before they head for human testing. And the final phase of that is the clinical development, where the human testing begins. That is the phase one, where it's a small population of humans, and they are all healthy volunteers, just to see that the drug does not adversely affect the health. And then in phase two, the drug is tested on real patients, and they are compared with the standard of care in that disease. When there is a standard of care, if there is none, then definitely there is a placebo in effect. And then the phase three is a larger form of phase two with more number of patients. And then phase four, after phase three, if the results look promising, FDA in US and EMA in Europe approves them, and they go to the market for sale. And then the phase four starts, where they collect real world studies. So there is while this goes on, there is a huge group of professionals who are involved in collecting data, making sure that data is foolproof. There's complete confidence in the data. They are significant. So there is a lot of career roles that people fulfill based on their experience. Now, going to the final phase of the drug life cycle, that is the commercialization phase. In the commercialization phase, it's a totally different ballgame. Most of the people in this phase are not scientists, but it does not mean that if you are a scientist, you cannot be a part of this team. You can train yourself to become a health economist, a marketer, or pharmacist, a pharmaceutical physician, sales reps, and lawyers and business managers. So in this phase, the drug commercialization starts with market authorization, when the drug agency like FDA approves it, and then it comes into the market. Then, of course, there is market access hurdles. There are professionals who really tell or consult the drug company to tell what would be the fair price of the drug, and is there a possibility that the government of the country where the drug is being sold can really reimburse the company and reduce the price of the drug. So there are many consultants who come into the picture, and then there is drug launch and marketing and sales, which are handled by a lot of medical representatives and medical science liaisons who really bring the information about this new drug to the doctors and how the doctors can prescribe it. And then, of course, the sales teams and the production teams really make sure that there is plenty of supply in the market, and then it goes on for generally 10 to 12 years after approval, because the patent life is generally 20 years in the US, and it varies from for other countries. But that's the typical life of a drug. And then after it comes off patent, definitely you have other competitors in the market, and the drug is withdrawn, and so on, and a new drug comes into the cycle. So before I go into any further, I would like to know if you have any questions so far. I'm not able to see the screen, so Nishant, please help me out.
Abhinav, I think we'll take a questions in the last.
Okay.
But it's okay. Want to take it in between?
I can, if there are any so far. I know I have shared a lot of information, but I would like to give them opportunity to ask any questions.
Okay. Just give me a second. Okay. So there is a question from Anupam sir. Can we consider manufacturing botanical pesticides as a part of drug design and research?
Not in the typical sense, because pesticides are not consumed by humans, and it is not for curing a disease. That is a totally different range of careers, which definitely we can talk about in a different way. Today, the focus is on medicines that are consumed by humans. For plants, it could be different. So yeah, I'm not an expert in plants. So does that answer your question? I'm sorry, it's not actually answering your question, but it's not my field of expertise.
Okay. Another question is how to distinguish between drugs and medicine, if there is a difference.
Oh, okay. So yeah, the terminology, I do understand that drugs are considered a different word in India. So in US, when we say drugs, we really mean medicine that is consumed by humans. It is not narcotics or anything. So there is it's a terminology difference, but the definition I'm talking about is medicine, which is also a drug. So you can use them alternatively.
Yeah. So far, no more questions.
Okay.
We'll take.
Thank you for these good questions. Thank you so much. So, so what are the job opportunities throughout the drug life cycle? So I will talk about 4 different phases that we discussed: the discovery research, the non-clinical development, the clinical development, and the commercialization. So in the discovery research phase, you have, as you saw, Nishant spoke about biologists. There are molecular biologists who are and biochemists, biotechnologists, bioinformatics, and biomedical scientists who are involved in various stages of creating the molecule, testing the molecule in their labs, and checking for really does this molecule work? Is there a science behind it? Is there a mechanism of action? Because if it cannot be vague, it has to be pretty clear of how this molecule works, and that's where the biologists come in. Then the chemists are the people who synthesize the molecule and make sure that it is valid, or if there is a better version that can be created, if they can change some of the functional groups of the molecule and make it more effective in targeting the protein, then the chemists are involved in doing that. And then there are pharmacologists who try to see how the drug will work in some mouse models or animal models. And then there are also other, as I mentioned, other disciplines, bioengineers, data analysts. There is tons of data nowadays with so much advanced techniques. Traditionally, we used to have very limited amount of data, but now there is you need a lot of data analysts to go over such the high volume of data that we get. And then there are intellectual property experts, as I mentioned, who need to protect the molecule that you are creating finally, to which will go into further development, and prevent competitors from taking over your molecule illegally. So that those are the people who come into the discovery phase. In the non-clinical development phase, again, there are chemists who are involved in developing the formulation, as I mentioned. Then there is non-clinical efficacy, who are testing it in non-human animal models. Then there are toxicologists who need to check the toxicology parameters and whether is the drug, a drug can be good, but it could also be toxic. So they need to check whether the drug that they are testing in animals is really killing them or creating some health hazard for the animals that they are testing in. And then there are non-clinical pharmacology people who check the same parameters of pharmacokinetics, experts who are in drug metabolism. Is the drug getting absorbed in the body, or is it accumulating somewhere that could be harmful when the animal is growing and is in a different phase of growth? So, and of course, modeling and simulation experts who try to foresee, will the drug keep on being a safe drug in future. uh, Going further into the clinical development, that's where a lot of physicians come in. There are clinical research professionals like clinical pharmacologists and doctors from hospitals and clinics, and then clinical operations people who are the clinical trial managers who design the trial, identify the patients, and for the doctors and recruit them for different clinical trial studies. Then in number 3, you have medical review and pharmacovigilance people who make sure that the data and the paperwork is in place. There is nothing missing as far as the regulatory aspects are concerned. Then there are clinical biometric people who analyze the data. Again, the data analysts over here are very important. At every stage you are seeing there are data analysts who are playing a critical role in making sure that what they are studying is important and making sense. Is the trial following in an expected pattern and is matching the expectations of the trial? Or if it is going somewhere wrong, then they tell the physicians to stop the trial, that it is not going in the right way and any further recruitment of patients can harm. So drug development, that is why it's such a risky business, because if there is any adverse event, there are so many checkpoints, there are so many professionals who are watching over this whole process that they can really tell the company to stop the trial because it is not matching the expectations. And then, of course, there are clinical services, because when you bring in a patient for a clinical trial, there are many different services involved to make sure the patient is safe and the patient is getting the right care needed for the drug administration and the follow-up as a result of the clinical trial. And lastly, about the commercialization phase, there are, as I mentioned, there in the market access, there are financial experts, drug pricing specialists, and economists. They really take into account the scenario of, is the drug going to be affordable, the cost of manufacturing, and the cost that is being offered to the patient. Does it make sense? The marketing, there are international product managers who make sure that the drug is properly marketed to the relevant population. Every country will have a different way of handling marketing, and that's where these managers come in. Then there are medical affairs people who are either advisors or MSLs, or information managers, because once the drug is ready, the doctors who will prescribe this medicine, they need to know what this drug is about. So the education of the doctors is important, so that they can really pass on that information and prescribe it to the patients at a relevant, because there could be already a very popular drug in the market, and how will you fight that competition if you have a new drug at this stage of commercialization? So that is where medical affairs specialists really make a difference in explaining to the physicians that compared to the, say for example, compared to the standard of care, how does this matter better than what they are prescribing right now? So and then the production, of course, when you cannot create a stockpile of drugs without making sure there is a demand. So once there is a demand that builds up in the market, the chemical engineers and the industrial pharmacists, supply chain managers make sure that the demand is met by ramping up the production and making sure the supply chain from, if it is produced in one country and then it has to be exported to the other country for because the demand is somewhere else, they will either make sure the supply chain is constant without any hassles, or sometimes there are people who help set up the production plants in the country where there is a huge demand. So that's where chemical engineers and others come in. And finally, the distribution and sales. That is one of the most crucial links that make the drug industry profitable, because if the sales and distribution people are not really promoting your product very well, um, all the expenditure that you did to bring the drug to the commercialization phase will fail, because that is where the whole cycle of remuneration goes back. Um, Going further, although these are 4 different heads, there are also many opportunities in support and management, because bringing together all these 4 different branches of drug development requires a huge team of managers who are working behind the scenes and across all these 4 branches to make sure that these branches of drug development work smoothly, and they are related to regulatory sciences, the quality control, the scientific and medical writing department, especially when you buy a drug, there is a data sheet that comes with the drug and it has all the relevant information. Those and the people in the scientific and medical writing business really make sure that that data that is written in those data sheets are very well referenced, have a very because the patient is going to read it and try to understand how the dosage works, what is the drug about. So those that is very well vetted by these medical writers. And then there is training and development. This is a totally different but very important branch of the drug development cycle. A lot of professionals need to train to become better in their current job scenario, because say for example you have a scientist, but they have been just making molecules, but then there is a new technique that arrived, and they need to be trained in that new technique. So these professionals ensure that all the trainings for every different professional are up to date and they are cutting edge. So in any big pharmaceutical company, these professionals come in and try to train and update the trainings of these other professionals and make sure that they are going fine. And finally, the management. As far as the management is concerned, running such a huge global drug manufacturing, research, and supply chain, and several academic healthcare centers requires a huge team of managers, and everyone is entrusted with making sure that they are running smoothly. All the boxes are checked, and everything is is in a proper framework of the law of the land. So the management team has a huge responsibility there. So how does one move in the career as they move in as they grow in the pharma sector? So far we have just talked about what are the job opportunities available, but once you join the pharma sector, you can grow in many different ways. You can move along the path. Like you can start from a clinical operations, and once you know the whole process of clinical operations, then you can move to regulatory affairs or marketing. So there are many opportunities. It's not just the entry point. You have to grow. It's as career is always a lifelong learning process. You learn and then you build upon that learning to grow into your profession. You can also move laterally, like from one country to another. And you can also start an international career, like working in several countries or in different branches of your global company in different countries, and also switch from one company to another. And then you can, or at the end, entrepreneurship. You can start your own company and become a senior consultant, because you know so many different aspects of drug development. You can really fulfill the role of creating your own company and create jobs in that situation. Now, finally, where should students get trained? What is the training process? After school, what are the opportunities? So generally, this field requires a lot of PhDs, but that is not necessary. PhDs are required for a lot of research jobs, but if you have a bachelor's or a master's, you can also fulfill many roles in this whole drug life cycle process. I have enlisted a lot of big companies and their website in this slide. So whenever students are watching this presentation, they can go to these websites and identify what kind of additional training programs these companies have once you join them. And I will keep this short, and I have added this table which shows about where and what kind of background of academic knowledge you can have enlisted here, the kind of academic degree that you have, and what role in the drug development cycle you can fulfill. Like if you are a master's degree holder in pharmaceutical sciences, your major roles will be in the non-clinical development and the late clinical development and the clinic and the commercialization phases. But if you are a pharmaceutical sciences PhD, you can always take a major role in research and drug discovery, and then non-clinical development and early clinical development. So, so this chart really speaks about multiple disciplines in which your degree is, and where you can find an opportunity in the drug development process. Whenever you're watching this presentation, you can pause it here and go over this entire table over here. And what are the important employability elements? No matter what your degree is, you always need some of these skills to thrive and be successful in your career. That is, you need a very good written and oral communication skills. You should be able to communicate effectively. And ethical understanding. There will be many places where the data will not match, and you will be very much inclined. As scientists, we are always biased that my molecule is the best, but you have to take an ethical understanding of the data. If the data is not matching, you have to let go of it. You have to move on. And that is where ethical understanding and reasoning comes into picture. And no matter what is your education level, you have to have the ethics in place, because your decisions are going to influence the lives of tons of people who are going to use the medicine that you're going to bring to the market. So be conscious. You have to be conscious of that part of how many lives you will be impacting as a result of being in this profession. Analytical thinking, it is a very complicated field, because very different kinds of data, very different kinds of circumstances, population changes. If you're, say for example, you did your clinical trial and you did the clinical trial only in say US population, and you never tested patients in the European or the Asian population, then your analytical thinking before you bring that drug into any of these markets of Europe or India or say Asia or other countries, you need to make sure that are there any clinical trials actively done in those countries to bring it into the market? Is it safe? If it is not, then it is better to take a step back and run clinical trials in those countries where you want to commercialize it. But this is just one piece of the pie. There are many places where you need to employ analytical thinking to make sure that what you're doing is the right thing for the people. Again, information technology is everywhere. You need to be adept in this in the field of IT to make sure that you are using the right technologies in business and management context. Interpersonal relations and teamwork. Now, this is a very important aspect, because as you saw, drug development is a global business. So you will have colleagues from all over the world. So managing interpersonal relations and working in a team with a diverse set of individuals, that skill comes by understanding the cultures of different places. And I'm sure Nishant is here. He has worked in Europe, and he can vouch for how important it is to develop interpersonal relations with people from multi-ethnic communities, and how to work together to successfully deliver on a common goal is important. The second point again is a segue from that same point, like diverse and multicultural work environments. You have to have a reflective thinking process. You have, as I said, whenever you think that, okay, this is the right thing I'm doing, go back, think again. Is it the right thing for everybody, or is it the right thing to do for a particular set of people that I know about? Is it going to be The same for for other sets of populations of patients whom I have no understanding about. Should I go back and read up and make sure that, say for example, a population of Oriental people will be similarly benefited as the population of a Caucasian set of people. Similarly, again, another part is application of knowledge. You are well trained. Once you are in this profession, you have spent years of education in getting to this position, and how you apply that knowledge to make sure that your knowledge is translating well is important. If it is not translating well into practice, reevaluate and then apply it in a different way. So these are very common, but this is a very common set of points that you need to be conscious about for going into the practice of drug development. Now, coming to the last part, I will talk very less how an effective job application process is done. Um, these 3 points are something very common. You should have a very good motivation to get into any career, not only drug development or drug discovery. If you are not motivated enough to commit to this career, don't apply for that job. Apply for something else which you feel motivated. But you are very well motivated, you will find many opportunities to grow. Then once you know that you are motivated enough to grow into this profession, identify where you can get the required technical skill set. If you don't have the required technical skill set, no matter how good motivated, how highly motivated you are, you will not do well in that profession. And finally, whenever you are applying for the job, you should be able to illustrate your interpersonal skills when you are talking to people, when you are interacting even with your interviewer. You should be able to make sure that you are coming across as a very congenial and nice person, and you understand you are a good listener also, not just a good speaker, you are a good listener too. And you can I'm not going to talk any more about the job application because it varies from country to country. So if you have any more questions, you can reach out to me on stempeers@gmail.com, and I'll try my best to answer your questions through that email. And finally, an acknowledgement. Thank you so much, Nishant, for inviting me for this talk, and Dr. Gupta for coordinating with me over the past few months. And I appreciate your patience in the schedule changes and accommodating my schedule for this talk, and the Varshney Teachers Group for this enlightened group of people who are talking so many varied topics on a monthly basis. And this is really fun to be a part of this group. So thank you so much. And with that, I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Yeah. Thanks, Abhinav. Thanks, Abhinav, for telling us this medicine is not only about doctors. There are so many people associated with this field, and telling us about the key points, how like the plethora number of jobs people can apply, students can apply. Our education systems are the old system, I would say, is just people think, students think is mostly doctors and engineers are the most professional courses they can apply for. But now we are knowing, slowly we are knowing, like there are so many of job opportunities people can apply for. And I'm sure if the students is listening this talk or the recordings, they know so many of job opportunities they can apply apart from not only doctors. And thank you for giving a due respect to scientists. So yeah, so scientists.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that is something as teachers, it is important that whenever you meet students, you tell them the whole picture.
Yes.
I know as my talk was actually very much motivated from the part where the society where I was growing up in India, where medicine is only thought about as go attend some coaching in PMT and become a doctor. But
Yeah.
then with education, like when I was growing up, I was reading the career magazines to get more information, because like I realized my heart was not in treating patients. My heart was actually creating medicines. So that is where I found my passion. So, but at that time there was no information available. How should I go about it? If I want to create medicines, what is the standard way? I don't want to appear in a pre-medical test or become an engineer. So that's where I took up a BSc course in biotechnology. Back then, and there were very few colleges that were offering these courses, and the education pattern was very different. And I realized that that really helped me in understanding where I can take my career, and I need not always be a doctor to help patients. I can be a scientist when I help patients, and beyond scientist, as I grew in my career, it was important that I understand what is there beyond research. Once you create a molecule for as a therapy for something, and you have only done lab tests, how do you know whether this drug is going to work in humans? How do you know whether it's going to be safe for humans? So that is where a lot of my postdoctoral training showed that there are many ways you can work with cross-disciplinary professionals to identify the safety of your molecule, the safety of the efficacy of your molecule in humans, and take it forward, because it's a long process. Typical drug development cycle takes 15 years, right from identification of a lead to getting it approved and coming to market. So it's such a long period of time, and getting an opportunity. I was fortunate that I got opportunity to learn at different phases of my career and learn about different aspects of drug development. I'm still learning. I have partially been in the commercialization phase, but not fully. But hopefully in future, I will get an opportunity to do those roles as well. But yeah, um, definitely. I think this is time for questions. I have spoken a lot, but yeah, tell
Yeah,
me if
yeah, sure, sure.
I try to
Uh,
keep in time. I knew there
yeah,
was 40 minutes given to
Yes,
me, so
yes, sure, sure.
yep. So there is a question from Abhijit. What could be the distinguishing factors which alleviates a drug in making? Formulation,
Mhm.
toxicology, DDI, etc. Preclinic to clinical setup.
Oh, hi,
Did you get
Abhijit.
it?
Nice to meet you.
I mean,
I
I don't know,
think
is still there or
is
no?
Abhijit from Goa, right?
Yeah. He's our junior.
Okay, okay. Yes, there could be many different factors, and especially in preclinical, like say for example, we are making an RNA interference drug, okay, and RNA is coded on by the DNA, and so when you are moving from preclinical to clinical, the sequence of RNA will change in itself. So if you have a formulation that you were testing in animals, the sequence of the RNA interference molecule will be relevant to the animal. But you cannot take that same molecule to a clinical setup, because in humans, the whole API will change. The sequence of the RNA will change. So that is a very basic thing, and that is beyond what you have mentioned in formulation, toxicology, and PD, etc. So that is where I would say there are many ways, and I can talk at length, but I would just limit it that there are many finer points to that, Avijit, and we can talk separately on that
Yeah,
if you want.
yeah. There is a question for Shweta ma'am from Priyanka ma'am. Kindly elaborate more on the process of DNA programming by our feelings and emotions. Shweta ma'am is still there? Yep.
Yeah.
Uh,
So basically,
Sorry,
the one, am I audible?
Nisha,
Yeah.
Nishant, you're
Yes, ma'am.
breaking
Yes,
up
ma'am.
in voice.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
So basically, what I need to convey from here is whatever I have shown you in the water memory part. As your body is also fluids, it's having memory. So whatever you want to instruct yourself and even your audience or your learning, sphere wherever the children are, just please concentrate on repetition. Whatever you want to go with it. Is it positivity? Let it be tears flowing from your eyes, but be deliberate to speak, I'm happy. Only things then change. Whatever vibrational attitude you spend out, you are emitting, that's what's recreating. The quantum physics, most of you, I think you're from the science backgrounds, they're much more aware about all these facts, that how energy, vibrations create your 3D life. Your matter is converted from there only. So it is the matter that you click into your deliberate affirmations that you are this, you want this, and you can do this. That's it.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
ma'am.
Thank you.
There is another question for Shweta ma'am from Gagan sir. In immortals photographs, the reproducibility is often rather poor. How to say?
Can you please repeat the question? The voice
In,
was cracking.
yeah, sorry. In immortals photographs, the reproducibility is often rather poorer. How to say? Gagan sir.
See,
Yeah.
this is just a aid where I wanted you to bring out to the logical surfaces which we could see here. But what's written in Nalanda and Takshila, that's been a very basic thing, everyday life we could see. जहाँ पर भी पाठ होगा, अनुष्ठान होगा, anything wherever you find good chantings, you will find water. आपको पानी का लोटा मिलेगा, मंदिर के बाहर आपको एक पॉन्ड मिलेगा. It's because it retains memory, it spreads that positivity and it keeps it for a longer period of time. So if you talk about that way, it won't matter much. That's just an aid to bring you to that point what our ancestors have been telling long back. If you're not that much satisfied with this content, if you take up sounds are there in your spine, like 32 spines जो आपका है spinal cord है, वहाँ पर any language, any sound, you feel better at times. The prayers are going on. You're not able to understand the language. You're not able to understand or grasp what's being said, but still you feel calmer. You still feel better. The reason being this only. So it's more of how you feel about it. It's more of how you acknowledge. The more you feed what you want, the more you visualize it, even the intent, even your actions.
Yeah,
I hope I could make it more clear.
yes, ma'am. I hope. Gagan sir.
I'll talk to her later. This will require, I mean, as a student of science, things become clear if the observations are reproducible. Anyway,
Yeah.
I'll talk to her
Anyways,
later.
we have a lot of content in the net also. If you want to
Yes,
study,
yes.
you'll have number of images there. If it is not visible clearly here, yes.
I know.
I think there are no more questions, and let's thank both the speakers.
Now, just
Yeah.
Nishan, can I because
Sure, sir.
what I'm going to speak, it is difficult to write. Many a
Sure,
times, Abhinav, you showed one slide which has appealed me most. I mean, many of our slides has appealed me, but this is the slide just towards the end, which are showing the scope for different subjects or different streams in the area of medicine. I was very happy to see mathematics in it. I was very happy to see mathematics in it. We probably need to listen you further once again about decoding decoding all these subjects in the area of medicine or drugs. Yes, we know pharmacy, we know chemistry, we know biology, we know physics to some extent. But you had given a huge chart. I mean, almost every subject was into that. Probably, I mean, this is we need to listen you further sometime. You are on mute. You are on mute.
Abhinav, you are mute.
Okay, got it. Yes, this happens so many times. Sorry about that. So yeah, I think that's a very good point you have mentioned, and as one of the major things, like how mathematics really changed the way drug development is evident in the fight against COVID. So as you saw, generally a vaccine takes, just like a drug, a small molecule drug, a vaccine takes years, 10 to 15 years to become available. But during COVID, you saw that uh, the, the the drug, the vaccine was developed in lightning fast speed, and that was primarily because of the mathematical component that really enhanced it. Like, how did you, once the sequence was identified for the virus spike protein, how the mathematical algorithms really identified what kind of mRNA, like for example, the mRNA vaccines that came out first, how they will attack the mRNA of the virus, and then simulate not attack, they simulate the immune response within the human body. So generally, even before the in vitro experiment started, all these simulations were already done by the mathematicians who were in quote unquote the algorithm makers. So so they created these algorithms, and that's how the confidence rose that okay, if we use this sequence of mRNA, this can really elicit the kind of immune response they're getting. And within 15 days, 15 to 20 days, Moderna and BioNTech were able to really bring that, synthesize that molecule and test it in vitro, and then immediately they started the in vivo experiment. So it was within a matter of 2 months they were testing in animals. So this was only possible because there was a huge mathematical component involved that really hastened the process. And of course, the statistics, that is, if you don't have the right p-values to identify whether a hit or a lead is going to be great, whether the false discovery rate is going to be in within limits, then that is how a lot of these things work. And without these probabilistic models that the mathematicians created for us, we wouldn't have been here. So I think for the math thing that you said, I would say Nishant is a much better person to host that talk. I will be happy to pitch in wherever I can. But yes, this is a very good talk to hold, and we can talk
Some
at length about it.
Abhishek is also here now. Just we'll have Nishant. We'll have some time
Yeah,
mathematical
sure, sir.
modeling,
Yeah.
mathematical modeling in drug delivery, particularly in drug delivery.
Yeah, of course, sir. And with this, during the COVID times also, there are very simulations,
Yes,
graphs
yes,
are
yes.
also there. So
That,
how the
that
first wave will come, when the second wave will come. So there are many models also there developed by mathematicians, statistical models.
yes, yes,
We
yes.
give you something like, I would say, like head start. You can, if our government takes very seriously these things, they can be prepared, those things.
Yes,
So,
yes, we'll take
Nishant,
it.
can
We'll take it.
I
Yes, please,
have
Bharsha
Yes,
sir.
sir. Sanjeev sir.
Abhinav, you raised about uh, this COVID vaccine. So my question is related to that. You know, somewhere that there is a role of education, educating the society on any new medicines that is introduced to the market. Now we have done a shortcut. We authorize vaccine for the emergency uses, and still in many parts of the world, be it India or United States, there is a social acceptability challenge. People are still questioning it because it lacks data. It lacks assurance that, and they are not very sure if they should take it. Now, I feel if some this social psychology could have been different if we had prepared our citizens about the new medicine, which is vaccine in this case, and prepared them for any such administration. So I would like to know your view on that.
Oh, yes, absolutely. That's a very important point that you have raised, and that is related to something that we, in our organization of StemPeers, we focus on that a lot, is science communication. Over a period of years, what has happened is that there has been a huge gap that has been created between the scientist and the society. Uh, People who got into our profession of science and developing it as a profession, they become very elitist and egalitarian, where they stopped communicating the benefits of science, the confidence that can come, and the evidence-based studies that we do to come to a conclusion. And although we were funded by the public, we were not telling the public what exactly we are making. And that is the reason that you see so much of distrust that is happening to the vaccines that are being approved. When people say that there is not enough data, it is because they are not aware that there was data already there based on which we created these vaccines. So today, if I take, for example, a flu vaccine, very prevalent in US, we take it every year over here, and the efficacy of that vaccine is just every year it is just 60%. Now, people here take it regularly, and they never, very few question it, but that's okay. But when it came to the COVID vaccines, they were 90%, 95% effective. But still, people were not taking it because they thought there is something missing. Why? Because there was precedence, but the people were not informed that you are taking 60% effective vaccines on a yearly basis, and you had no problems. But when you are taking 95% effective vaccine, you are in doubt. Why? Because they may not go into the weeds, they may not go into the exact details of how vaccine is manufactured, but you need to tell them that there is a history, you have done this and things have been safe with you. So when you take the new vaccines, they will be safe too because they have already been tested. People, when they are telling the public, they have to put it in very simple terms. Everybody is not a scientist, so you have to tell them, okay, we tested them in, say, 500 patients, or to tell them how many doses were given to every patient, what exactly were the side effects. This has happened a lot in the current scenario. If you are following a lot of trustable social media, as well as relevant government agencies, they are putting the data out there, uh, that is increasing the trust. Still, it is not 100%. Everybody does not trust it. Even in US, a lot of people are not trusting the vaccines, and that is because of the gap in information. If we are not putting the information in a digestible format for the public, the information will still remain as a black box. No matter how much I tell them the efficacy is 95% or 90%, if they don't understand what that number means and how the success rate has been historically, they will not accept your vaccine. So there is the importance of having a clear communication, and that is going to be the antidote for misinformation that you are having nowadays. I hope I have no complete answer to that, Dr. Varshney, but uh, these are the small steps that a lot of organizations like ours are taking to educate the people about the safety and efficacy of the vaccine. A lot of the time, even some of my scientist friends really posted on Twitter that I took the vaccine and it is safe. I am perfectly fine. The more people talk about it, that they got the vaccine and they are fine, they are not having any side effects or anything, the more trust will come, because people want to hear people like themselves that yes, it is safe, yes, it is working. If always a scientist or a doctor says that it is safe, they might not really trust them because of various factors. But if a common person who has taken the vaccine goes and tells 5 more people that yes, I have taken the vaccine, you see, I am working fine, I am going to my job, I'm taking care of my family, I'm doing my day-to-day functions normally, and there has been no change, then that confidence factor rises. So it is also a responsibility of the public, those who have got the vaccine, to convince those the people who are on the fence. I hope I make sense over here, but it is an ongoing process.
Oh,
And a
yes.
very good question. Very good
Yeah.
question.
Yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I think no more questions, and anyone has comments to this add or any ask? Anything to
Syal,
ask?
Dr. VK Syal from Gurgaon has sent all the best to you, Abhinavji, and to Shweta ji for both the
Thank you.
talks. He's very happy. He has to go somewhere. He had some appointment with doctor, so but he asked me to share his pleasure with you. We definitely like to listen you again. And now Abhishek ji is still here. His words are still in my ears. Abhishek ji, are you listening me?
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Namaskar.
Actually,
How are
I'm
you?
traveling. I'm late
Yes.
today. Nice talk, Abhinav. I really enjoyed the last part when I joined, and it's fun. But I'm traveling, so I couldn't do it
No
on
problem.
time. But it
But
was
don't worry,
fine.
Abhishek,
It's
we'll see
always,
you in the recordings.
Yes.
yeah. I'll
Thank you,
see the full
Abhishek.
recording, and it's always nice to see you guys. come and go whenever there is talk. And this is a wonderful group. I enjoy it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
all.
Safe travels.
Acceptance.
Thanks, Abhishek, and thanks, Abhinav, Shweta ma'am. And Priyanka ma'am would like to add something.
Priyanka,
Is ma'am there?
Thank you, sir. Nothing to add. You have already elaborated, and the question answer session is already done. So, Gagan sir, please guide.
no, Gitanjali will up for the and please tell about the next.
Yes, sir. I will be
activity.
displaying the
Yes.
poster of next talk. In the meanwhile, I would request Gitanjali ji to please propose the formal vote of thanks. Thank
Good
you.
evening. Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Good evening to all of you. I, Gitanjali Malhotra, on behalf of Varshney Teachers Group, feel privileged to get this opportunity to give the vote of thanks. I thank both the honorable speakers, Ms. Shah ma'am and Dr. Abhinav Dey sir, for their thought-provoking talks. I also thank Dr. Priyanka Varshney ma'am for the welcome address and Dr. Nishant Varshney sir for introducing the speakers and for managing the question answer session very effectively. I thank Dr. Gagan Gupta sir for organizing such wonderful sessions and Dr. Kalpana Varshney ma'am for helping us in preparing and disseminating the e-certificates. Most importantly, I thank all the participants who have enthusiastically joined today's webinar, and we look forward to have your presence in the upcoming webinars as well. And the next session of these interactive webinars will be held on 7th August 2021 as it is displayed on the screen. Thank you. Dr. Gagan sir, please allow us to wind up the session for today.